Let's move on to The Well. Now, look, I've given it 6 out of 10. Are you guys happy with that? You guys aren't happy with that because everybody thinks it's the best episode in years. And you know what? Maybe it is one of the best episodes in years, but that's not really saying much, is it? Considering the level we've been at since 2017 or 2018. It's been rough, man. It's been rough having to... I'm a Doctor Who fan, so I'm forced to watch all this dog shit. Nah. Yeah. So when I watched this, I came out of it like, oh my god, this is really good. Now, yeah, I will say, I did not manage to go into this spoiler-free, unfortunately. I could not watch the episode on the day it released, so I had to watch it on Sunday morning instead of Saturday. And I nearly avoided spoilers, but on Saturday evening, I was just scrolling YouTube. I saw a YouTube reaction thumbnail for this episode, and I instantly noticed the screen grab of David Tennant looking stressed from Midnight. And yeah, so I was like, oh, it's the Midnight entity again. Straight away, just from seeing it. And then like once I started watching the episode and I saw like the general look of the planet, I was like, okay, yeah, this is Midnight. Now, if you had told me that Midnight was going to get a sequel, I would have been like, please don't fucking do that. Midnight is one of my favorite episodes, and it's objectively one of the best episodes of the show, probably, because it's so self-contained. It's probably one of the most tightly written episodes ever of this show. So I would have thought, like, please don't bring back the fucking thing. Like, you're gonna ruin it. And I was kind of, like, pleasantly surprised that they did not ruin the monster. Now, I still have plenty of criticisms, but I think this episode is, like, at least, like, okay to decent. But everyone's like, this is the best episode of all time. It's 9 out of 10. I don't know, bruv. So, yeah, I mean, the main problem with it, I think, is that it is related to the fact that it is trying to be a sequel to Midnight, right? Like, why? Why are you doing that? Like, you can tell, obviously, if you guys didn't know, this was not originally written to be a sequel to Midnight. This was written to be an original monster, but Russell read the script and was like, oh, this is similar enough to Midnight, let's make it that. And you can tell, you can fucking tell that it wasn't originally meant to be that, because the monster does different stuff, right? And I'm not completely against that, because of the ambiguity and like the lack of knowledge that we have about the Midnight entity. It works okay. It works okay changing what it's done, I think, because like, but with the added context of like, it's just it's powerful enough that it's messing with people, because it's still the same basic concept, is that it's messing, it's using human paranoia as a weapon, right? It's the same kind of thing. So it's similar enough that it's like, okay, it's all right. This episode sort of makes sense-ish. But I think it would have been better if it was it would have been so much better if they actually decided to write it so that from the beginning to be a sequel to Midnight. And yeah, it just makes me feel like Russell doesn't give a shit, if he's doing stuff like that. Like, Midnight is probably the best fucking episode he wrote, right? And it's like, why? Why do you not care about this show? Do you not care about your previous work? Just, please, man, please just do something. Please just try with your stuff. But yeah, so the main, like, the whole mimicking thing from Midnight is really cool, right? It's really interesting. It's a really interesting concept. And so the Midnight entity mimics the people in the room, then it starts to say those things at the same time, then it starts to say things before them. before the Doctor specifically, and it tries to isolate the Doctor, right? And yeah, we don't find out like exactly what it wants or why it's doing that or how it's doing that, but it works very well because the episode is about the way humans will act in danger situations like this. It's about how the other characters in the bus react. That's sort of the point, right? Yeah. So it would have made so much more sense to me anyway if yeah, like I said, I get the notion of not wanting to make the well just midnight but again. Like I get not wanting to just do the mimicking thing for an episode again. I understand that. Especially because the monster's like 4,000 whatever it said, 400,000 years on, if it's the same exact creature, right? So maybe in that time it's learnt a lot more about people and how to manipulate them or possess them, whatever. So I'm happy for it to do something different, but I think the story should have been constructed in a way that would have made it like sort of obvious that the monster was doing something, that the way the monster was manipulating people was something like further along in the process that we got to see from the original Midnight, right? So in the first one we saw mimicking, then saying at the same time, and then controlling what another person says, right? So we could have had a scene where the Midnight Entity, hops into someone, or the Midnight Entity through Alice, the deaf girl, starts to copy, then say at the same time, then control the speech of another person and trap them, and then we get to see it develop into whatever comes next. Now I don't know exactly what you'd want to do. I think you probably could have thought of something more interesting than like, oh, if you come behind me, I'll throw you up in the air and break your neck. Yeah, you could have thought of something more interesting than that. Like, I think in the original episode, the Doctor says something like, "Oh, but what's the next step? Becoming us?" Imagine if it was that. Imagine if it was becoming the next person, and that's what we got to see. That would have been way cooler. And I feel as though, it's sort like I did get scared. I did like sort of shit myself at the little like the shadow thing appearing behind Alice in this episode. That's mainly because of the sound design. Like Midnight builds tension and atmosphere so much better than this episode does. Like I've literally seen comments saying that this is the best possible sequel we could have got to Midnight, and that's mental. That's crazy to say. Like I can't believe. Like really? Like can you not imagine a better episode than this? I think people are just like too easily pleased. Like don't get me wrong. When I was watching, like seeing the Doctor figure out that it was the planet Midnight, it hit. I was like, wow, oh my god, it's Midnight. But like, that's not substantive storytelling. That's not substantive. That's just, hey, remember the thing that you like? Yeah, it's that again. That's all it is. That's not the episode. Like the emotion you feel at the reveal of it being Planet Midnight and the Midnight Entity exists solely because the original episode is good, not because this episode is good, right? That's how it works. Yeah. So, yeah, the thing it was choosing to do, like, I'm not saying the Midnight Entity couldn't decide to do that. Maybe it could, because it's like, it seems very powerful being. It seems like it could do a lot of things. I'm sure it could do what it does in the episode, but it doesn't really make sense from a storytelling perspective for it to just do something random. Like, sure, it may like what they should have had it do was probably become, copy, say at the same time, control somebody, become somebody. That's what they should have had it be, becoming some people, something like that. And yeah, I just wish there was more of the tension. I just wish there was more of like the monster in the room and there was more tension like we got in the original episode. I feel like there just wasn't enough time for the suspense to be built. Yeah. Then, yeah, what else do I want to even say about this episode? So, the Midnight Entity can't see itself, apparently, which is why reflection off the Mercury got it to get off Alice's back. Sure. Right, okay, whatever. Yeah. So then they run away from it in the corridor. They run away from it, and you actually see it in the corner. Like, give it a physical form. And I was seeing Mauler discuss this on Real BBC, and I sort of agree that you probably should not have shown the Midnight Entity physically at all. Like, I think that's sort of like I'm so happy they didn't make some bullshit CGI monster and like reveal that as the Midnight Entity, because it would have just completely ruined the mystery. Like, I think they probably shouldn't have even shown the entity physically at all. We did see it sort of in shadows, but I'm so glad they kept it only to the shadows and did nothing more than that, because they could have fucked it up way worse if they properly showed what it looked like. Like, can you imagine? Anyway, yeah, the Doctor stops to look at it because he thinks, yeah, because he wants to see it, and why would you do that? It's one of the most dangerous things you've ever encountered. Just fucking run away. Yeah. Then there's the whole airlock only allows 6 people in. I would have just fucking risked it and put all 7 people in, because I think it's a much better risk to take than having 4 of you stay behind where the fucking Midnight Entity is. And then you have Belinda. It apparently attaches to Belinda. And then the soldier woman says she's going to shoot Belinda, like, to try, like, above the heart to try and get it off her. And the Doctor just is fine with that, which is bullshit. Why would the Doctor let that happen? And then Belinda's just fine, and I bet that she's never even going to mention it again. That's what I was going to say about last episode that I didn't say. Like, the fact that Belinda got, imprinted into a fucking film reel in animation, and then popped out of a TV to talk to fans of a show she's in. The fact that she's not, like, having an existential crisis, and then she's just been shot this episode. Like, bro, we better see her getting pissed off with the Doctor at the start of this episode, but I don't think at the start of the next episode, but I don't think we will. Yeah, so the lady shoots Belinda, and theoretically they think that makes the monster jump to her. She then runs off to game end herself in the well, and also when she stood about to jump in the well, that her back is like perfectly facing the Doctor, and the creature doesn't jump onto him. And like, I know the creature can just do what it sort of wants anyway, but anyway, she game ends herself. Everybody else leaves. The episode's about to end, and then one of the other characters back at their base, somebody else thinks they can see something behind her, and the implication is that the Midnight Entity is attached to her back and that it didn't die. Now, I don't know if the implication is specifically that there are 2 Midnight Entities, or is it that there are 2 Midnight Entities, or is it that the woman who game ended herself actually didn't game end the one that she was trying to bring back into the well on her back? It wasn't on her back at all, because we do see a shot of the Midnight Entity, going supposedly getting into the airlock lift, right? So yeah, I mean, cool. I'm kind of glad that it's still around, I suppose. I also hope they never make another story about it ever again. Yeah. Yeah, man, it's just such wasted potential. I can't believe people are saying that it's the best possible sequel they could have made. Like, what are you talking about? Louise the Rat Warrior says, best possible sequel? Nah, it's not the worst. By retroactively making Midnight worse, but I would super disagree. Yeah, like, I think it does. No, I don't think it retroactively makes Midnight worse. I don't think it does. I think the damage that it does to the damage it does is mainly just to this episode itself, because like uh all of the things that the entity does in this episode, I sort of believe, sure, theoretically the entity could do those things, so it doesn't really feel like it damages anything previously. But this episode is damaged because it doesn't really explain very well why it's acting differently to how it did previously, you know? And yeah, I think they could have, if they'd actually planned a proper Midnight sequel from the start, instead of taking a pre-written script about a different monster and turning it into that, then they could have written it in a way that would have made it much more cohesive. But they didn't, so whatever, man. Yeah. Louise the Rat Warrior says, oddly, the more I think about it, I feel this is kind of the Angel two-parter in Matt's first season. Image of an Angel is an angel kind of deal, or angels actually killing people over sending them backwards. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I don't think it's not always the worst thing to give a new ability or add a new dimension to a villain in a future story. That's not always a bad thing, and it can work well. I would need to rewatch the Matt Smith Angels two-parter to sort of remember if I like. I think I really like that story, but I need to rewatch it. But yeah, like specifically look at it to like see how it handles the Angels, right? But I think the Midnight Entity is a particularly touchy thing, right? Like it's something you have to be very careful with because of the nature of what it is, because it's so ambiguous and unexplained. Like, because you know what the angels are, right? They're creatures who don't exist unless they don't exist if you are looking at them, and they will pull you back in time to feed off the potential life you could have had. Like we know what they do, we understand what they do, but the Midnight Entity is like there's so much ambiguity and mystery surrounding like what it is, why it does what it does, how it does what it does, what it even looks like, that you've got to be so much more careful when you're adding extra things to it. And yeah, I don't think this like I don't think this episode made the Midnight Entity better, which it could have done. It honestly, it could have done if they wrote it in a way where the Midnight Entity was acting how it would have done further down in the chain if it had been given the chance in the original story, right? Like I said, mimicking, saying at the same time, controlling, becoming. If we saw the becoming bit, yeah, some shit like that, right? And like I feel like a lot of the atmosphere of the original Midnight is just Sky Silvestri, that actor. Like the way she plays that role is just fucking excellent. Like there's such a excellent portrayal. Like it's really creepy, and I think. Look, I'm not saying the episode had to entirely be possession, just be people getting possessed. Like I said, we could have the controlling, becoming, whatever. Or even add some extra elements to it, because we don't know for sure what was going to be next. But yeah, like we don't really get any possession stuff like that. Like it's sort of behind them on their back, but it's like, oh no, it's whispering on my back. It's just not as creepy, like it doesn't create the same kind of atmosphere. Chatter says, as a teen who grew up with Capaldi Whitaker, I agree 100%. Well, I'm glad you grew up with Capaldi, and I'm not glad you grew up with Whitaker. I love Capaldi, bro. I do love Capaldi. Honestly, I technically grew up with Capaldi. I'm not even that old, bro. When I became an adult, yeah, Jodie was the Doctor when I became an adult. Yeah. So I guess I technically grew up with Jodie as well. Fuck. Crazy. Louis the Rat Warrior. I feel I prefer Lux over this one for sure, but the Well I could see is a 6 out of 10. Lux is just completely new for who. The Well, yeah, just using a lot of new stuff that just wasn't there. I get the scenario where it could work like that, but it's just tough to accept 100%. Yeah, like, my advice overall would have been don't fucking make a midnight sequel. That's just too risky. Don't damage one of your best episodes that you've ever made. But if you have to, you could have made it. It could have been really good. This episode could have been really good. And honestly, at this point, I'm like pretty checked out on like expecting anything from Doctor Who. I don't expect anything from it anymore. I don't really expect it to be good. Like, I expect the Mrs. Flood payoff to be dog shit. I expect this series to end in a shit way. Like that, because I just got burnt by last series. Like, I hated the Chibnall era, and then I was like, oh, and I had real hope that RTD was going to bring the show back, and I was really like hyped for the 60th specials and last series, and it just fucking bit me. It just bit me for it. It just burnt me for it because it's yeah. So I just can't get excited about it anymore. So at the end of the day, I'm just happy that the Well doesn't fucking obliterate the Midnight Creature. I'm just so glad that it doesn't completely ruin it. Like it doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't really damage it. I think it just makes this episode worse for like not trying to be more cohesive with the original. But yeah. Oddly, since you brought her up, once you use the idea of being possessed, why not go for them going back and forth between the Doc and Companion? The issue becomes, how do we get rid of it? Yeah, like, like you could have the Doctor be possessed. That would be an interest. That would be a definite way to like have it be clearly the same entity, but step up the tension. Like it would absolutely step up the tension if the Doctor was being possessed. But this episode, like, if you're gonna do that, this episode needs to be longer. Like, and honestly, a Midnight sequel. If you actually want to make a good Midnight sequel, make it a 2-parter. Why not? Cliffhanger could be fucking crazy. Like, the cliffhanger could be the Doctor being possessed. Like, you could do something with it. You could have done something really cool. Fact of the matter is, I think it's just okay. It's just decent. Like. Yeah. I think it's alright. It's alright, man. Louise says, yeah, giving it more of a physical conception was probably the worst they did, since it's something that plays on how much you're willing to lose. Yeah, like... Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the point, right? Like, whatever you imagine about the Midnight Creature is worse than any kind of CGI design they could possibly invent, right? And yeah, it's not about what it looks like. It's about what it can do. And it just, like, like, they probably make it look like the fucking Pating or some bullshit. And we don't want that. Come on. We don't fucking want, and we don't want the Midnight Entity to look like the Pating. But yeah, I'm just, like, pretty happy that they didn't fucking ruin it. Because, yeah, Midnight Entity's easily one of my favourite Doctor Who villains ever. Like, easily, bro. I fucking love that episode. It's so good. Yeah. Let's see what some of the reviews say. I bet they're all gonna be really positive, aren't they? Have I got, like, I think my night light's on my PC, but it's not, like... whatever. It's making my stream look all, like, washed out. Like, weird fucking... yellowy colours. What do the reviews say? Let's see. I want to see the lowest ones first. Ah, here we go. People have actually rated this lower than me. Merchant says, I feel like I've woken up into alternate universe because I genuinely don't see the hype with this one. All of the characters, including 15 and Belinda, were two-dimensional at best, and it tried to be a sequel to a Midnight story that works so well, partly because of the mystery, and while it isn't given away as such, I think we're still told too much about it. Yep, we probably are told too much about it. The horror is also non-existent after the first couple of moments, at least for me. Yep, I wish there was more suspense. I thought the logic behind if you go behind her you will die stuff was really stupid, and it was made worse when the deaths looked like that. Yeah, the throwing around shit did look a bit goofy. And yeah, the whole midnight clock thing is a bit cringe. Like, it reminds me of like the owl generator reveal and the Sue Tech reveal and all of that. You know, all the stupid anagram bullshit and like the Harbinger stuff. Like, yeah, that's what it reminds me of. I think the whole midnight on the clock bullshit was a bit cringe. Like, you could have just said if you walk behind her you die. Like, you didn't have to mention midnight like the name of the planet. It's like the name of the episode from series 4. Oh no, you didn't have to do that shit. I was on the brink of laughing. It looked so bad, and it's not that they had to be super gory because Midnight only had 2 deaths right at the end. They were built up to and were impactful instead of random army grunt getting tossed like a ragdoll. If this is this era's peak, I don't think this show is for me anymore. Well, funnily enough, like, you know, you've seen me criticize this episode already. I think this is like the second best episode of the era. I think Dot and Bubble is better than the Well, and then the Well is like the second best. But I still don't think the Well is all that good. It's just sad, isn't it? Oh no, I'm not reading that shit. That's way too long. Ever since I first heard rumors about a sequel to Midnight, I immediately thought it was nonsense. The opening scene is just so goddamn bizarre. Like, it's so convenient that the spacesuits the Doctor and Belinda dress up on the closet room in the TARDIS is just the exact same suit used by the crew. Yeah, I didn't mention that because it was a smaller thing, but yeah, like, it is like ridiculously contrived that they just have the correct suit. Now, if the Doctor just said some bullshit like, oh, I recognize these soldiers, they're a really prominent force in this time period, I think I have some suits like that they have. Just like, thing with Doctor Who, you can just add some fucking dialogue in that makes that, like, not, you can sort of fix that contrivance pretty easily, but they just didn't. Especially given the fact they both didn't know beforehand where the heck they were. The ship they arrived just conveniently having 2 extra helmets waiting for them. Yeah, that's stupid as well. The episode was doing quite fine on its own, but the moment they confirmed it was a sequel to Midnight, it became impossible to me to not compare the original. And oh boy, the Well doesn't live up to that task. Even more so since it didn't bring anything substantially new to the table. Russell seems to have misunderstood why Midnight is damn special. The claustrophobic environment, the Doctor losing his own voice and control, the monster we barely understood, its modus operandi and goal, the hostile terrain, the increasing paranoia and the questioning of the Doctor's authority. Yeah, bro. I might end up considering The Well as a good episode later on, but it'll be forever something that lost the opportunity to shine on its own because it followed up Midnight. Yeah. I mean, it could have shined as a Midnight sequel if they fucking wrote it intentionally to be a Midnight sequel. I mean, I've said it like 15 times already, but it's just like, fuck me, bro. Come on. Try, bro. Robot Revolution is pieces. Horrible script. In pieces. Just Russell, just fucking try, bro. Like, you want to do a half-baked sequel to fucking the Midnight? Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, the thing he says here about the increasing paranoia and questioning of the Doctor's authority. It's like, that's why were we not revisiting those particular themes in this story? It's just fucking like, it's just because it doesn't seem like they give a fuck. It doesn't seem like they care. Like, honestly, it just seems like Russell's just sort of like, oh, I've got some ideas, I'm just gonna fuck around and make some Doctor Who stories, but I don't really care that much about it anymore. That's sort of what it feels like to me, man. Fair bit of people are just like, it's Midnight, so it must be good, when storytelling shouldn't work like that. Yes, I think a lot of people are literally just fooled by Like, a lot of people just think it's as good as it is because it's a sequel to Midnight, and it's not complete dog shit, you know? Like, and like, don't get me wrong, like, it's just fan service. Like the if it was a proper sequel that was good, it would, like, sure, I guess it technically would be fan service, but it wouldn't be just that. But because it's because this episode only really relates to Midnight in the sense that they're just like, oh, we're on the same planet. It is the same entity. It's barely related, apart from the fact that they just say that it's the same thing. That's the only thing that makes it related, really. At which point it's just like really poorly done fan service, you know? Like, oh, like, look, like, I felt it, I felt the vibes. Yeah, like, I know how you feel. I watched the episode and it was like, oh, it's the planet Midnight. Oh shit. Oh yeah. Like, I get it. I felt it while I was watching the episode. But it doesn't make it good. That doesn't make the episode good. That's just completely like banking on the fact that you like the previous episodes of the show. It's nothing to do with the quality of this episode.